Welcome everybody to Sticks and Sips, the Drew Estate Virtual Happy Hour. I am Frankie Drinks, your host tonight, where we're gonna enjoy everything Nicaragua. Tonight we have some great sips, we have some great sticks, and we have some amazing guests with us tonight. Before I get to introduce what's on the menu, I do want to tell you that I'm giving away 5 Pappy Van Winkle ashtrays from Subculture Studios. These things are beautiful. So all you have to do is to submit your question. Make sure you hashtag Ask Frankie Drinks. And if your question gets chosen, 5 of you will be winners. So make sure you get those questions going in. Again, hashtag Ask Frankie Drinks. Make sure that we know that that's your question. So with that, let's check out what's on the menu tonight. All right, so I'm gonna jump ahead, and it's a super exciting celebration in Nicaragua. I've got Mr. Juan Martinez, president of Hoya de Nicaragua, with us tonight. I have my colleague Isola Woods, retail specialist for Specs. And tonight, our stick for the day or stick for the evening is the Hoya Red. So if you guys haven't had one, now's the time. Now's the time to light them up. Get ready for a really big show. And what are we gonna enjoy with our sip? We're gonna enjoy Flor de Caña 12 tonight. This is like a beautiful expression of Nicaraguan rum. And we have our happy hour cocktail, because what's a happy hour without a cocktail? And we're doing a Nicaraguan daiquiri. So with that, let me check into the Zoom lounge, make sure everybody's on time. All right, so I see Drew Estate Izzy.
What's up?
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you, darling?
I'm doing just great. I'm doing just great. Super happy to have you on the show again.
Thanks for having me again, Frankie Drinks.
All right, we have Joey Drew, the Wizard.
What's up, kiddo?
Good How you doing everybody. Tonight?
Hey, man, I'm just pulling up to the bar. I'm getting ready.
Yeah.
I'm smoking a Hoya, but I'm smoking a Cinco de Caras, the Edema. I didn't have any reds on me, so I figured this would do.
So I see you stopped in, to get not only just a costume change, but an entire look change.
Yeah, I figured, you know what? They said blondes have more fun, so we'll see.
Well, we're going to find out tonight, that's for sure. We have Mr. Randy Griggs in the Zoom lounge. Randy Griggs from Cigar Dojo and from 21st Amendment Brewing. So Randy, welcome.
Thank you so much. Excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Super excited to have you on board, and we'll come back and we'll chat a little bit more, because you guys are doing something really special after this show. So we'll make sure that we do a shameless plug for that.
Fantastic. That's what I'm here for.
All right. And last but definitely not least, Juan Ignacio, how are you, sir?
Frankie, doing good, my friend. Good to see you. Thanks for having me. It's exciting to be here, man. I've been doing quite a few of these Zoom lounges, and this one for sure is one of the ones they were looking forward the most, man. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. I know you've been really, really busy, so I want to thank you ahead of time for jumping on with us. So with that, hey, let's get to drinking. So tonight's cocktail of the evening is a Nicaraguan daiquiri. So for you guys that know, the daiquiri is something that has a lot of bad reputation around. You see it in big frozen machines. New Orleans serves it by the gallon and stuff like that. But if you really want to dig into a real daiquiri, it's really one of the most simplest of cocktails that you can make. And you've got the ingredients there. It's real simple. It's 2-1-1 template, 2 ounces of rum, 1 ounce of lime juice, 1 ounce of simple. And let's look at the instructions there, or directions. And all you want to do is just combine all the ingredients. You want to shake them really, really well till it's really nice and chill. And then you want to strain it into a coupe glass, or any glass that you have on hand, because those are the best ones to drink out of any glass that you have on hand. But the classic glass is a coupe glass. So let's show the video. I've got my good friend Rob Amato from Las Vegas on there making the daiquiri, because I don't do stemware, so that's number one. So you want to get that ice in your shaker. You want your rum, You want your 1 ounce of simple syrup. You want your 1 ounce of lime juice. And again, a lot of it is tweaking that recipe till you get it just right. And you want to shake it. And you really, really want to give it a good shake. Get it nice and cold. This is not something that's going to sit in your glass for a long time. So you're going to take about a good 2 or 3, 4 gulps, and it's gone. And you're going to order another one. So real simple. You want to add that lime wheel and garnish that cocktail. And it has this one. I'm using, it's like gilding the lily. I'm using the Flor de Caña 12, and a typical daiquiri has it was made with white rum, and so this one's a little different riff on that. I'm using an aged rum to make it, and you'll excuse me as I'm going to take a sip of my daiquiri. So I welcome you to join me. This is a happy hour, so take a sip of whatever you got going on. Wow, that's delicious. So, what's the history of the daiquiri? Spanish American War. Um, Jennings Cox basically lays a claim to inventing the daiquiri near the town of Daiquiri in Cuba. But the reality is, it could have been based on a cocktail called the Ganchanchara, which is same template except that it's using honey syrup instead of simple syrup or sugar. And then you could also say that a Navy grog, which is a British style rum with lime juice, was the birth of that. We're going back to like the late 1700s. So a lot of history in that glass, and I invite you to make one. I have very good friends. My friend Joaquin Simo, who is probably one of the nation's best bartenders. He walks into a bar and he's going to judge them on how well they make a daiquiri. If they can make a daiquiri, they can make anything, because you're just using 3 simple ingredients, and you're trying to do the best that you can with them. And if it's well balanced, if it's tart and sweet and everything's in balance, you got a good rum going with it, you're at a great spot. If they're serving you something frozen, you may want to consider something else. It's not a knock on them. It's just try something else. So with that, the base spirit tonight was the Flor de Caña 12. So as I said, I was doing a celebration in Nicaragua. So we got the most Nicaraguan cigar tonight and the most Nicaraguan rum. Flor de Caña, Chichigalpa, at the base of the volcano, where that rich volcanic soil makes growing sugarcane just an amazing product in which you make molasses out of, and out of the molasses you have your base for rum. So it's a Spanish style rum. There's really 3 styles of rum. You have your Spanish style rums. Those are all the colonial countries that spoke Spanish, made rum in a certain way. The English colonies, they made rum a certain way. The French colonies made rum a certain way. And you could even add like a 4th category, and that's cachaça. That's made not from molasses, made from sugarcane juice, and it's made in Brazil. So they all have their differences, but we're looking at a real Spanish style rum. And Flor de Caña has an amazing history. I'm going to take a little sip as I remember my history. So the gentleman that started Flor de Caña, 1875. We're talking about over 120 years of rum history in Nicaragua. And Francisco Pelas was a founder, and like many good explorers, goes to Nicaragua trying to find the route from the Atlantic to the Pacific, trying to figure out how he's going to, as an Italian immigrant, figure out his riches in the New World. And it didn't end up making the transition from making a passage from the Atlantic to the Pacific and going to the gold rush. So he settles in Nicaragua, and you have the birth of Flor de Caña. And it truly is an amazing rum that has you have all the way from white rums that they make. You have the 4, the 7, the 12. There's an 18 and there's a 25. So you have an amazing way. So I picked one right in the middle that I thought would be a wonderful complement with that. So To help me talk about rum, I'm going to welcome one of my favorite people. She's my colleague here at Drew Estate. She's a retail specialist for specs. So with that, Isola, what's going on?
What's up, Frank? How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I just need to keep sipping a little bit more. As this show keeps going on, I need to get with you guys because I know you're way ahead of the game on me. But
So I game today. So, I went to Specs and I picked up my Florida kind of 18. That's what I'm sipping on, neat. So I'm doing this one neat. And I did have my Hoya Red. So I got also my Hoya Red. That's what I'm doing. So yeah.
That's awesome. So let's backtrack a little bit. Isola, let's tell everybody what you do for Specs.
So I am the retail specialist for Specs here in Texas. We have over 180 stores and growing across the great state of Texas. And what I do is I represent Drew Estate Cigars. So I go in, I check out our SKUs, I talk to the team members. We have a good time out here.
A good time.
A good time.
With 100 and something stores, I'm sure you keep quite busy.
And it's full of liquor. Imagine that.
Well, if you guys are wondering, like at Specs, I think I checked my price and this was like, it's for the 12, it's like $35. So it's a real great bargain for an amazing aged rum that you're getting. So I think our friends at Benny's have it in the same range, and ABC and Total as well. So it's widely available. That's one of the beauties of Florida Caña is that it's readily available. As well as Hoyas. So that's one of the things that our liquor partner chains that you can actually get your Hoyas at our liquor partners. So it's a real great way that you guys can combine something. And we talk a lot about terroir. We talk a lot about, how these things can affect not only cigars, but they can affect spirits as well. So with that, one of the things that I want to talk to you, because I know we've sat around and we've had a couple of drinks before. Why do you think that's just a couple, so why do you think rum pairs so well with cigars?
It's the sweetness, it's that beautiful, just the sweetness of the cigar against the smoke, the sweetness of the rum against the smokiness of the cigar. It's just truly a match made in heaven. With this cigar, especially the Hoya Red, you have that spice component in there, and then you got this beautiful Florida kind of rum. So you can't go wrong. You just can't. And both of them are created in this beautiful country of Nicaragua. So it's like, bing, match made in heaven.
Well, not to get like super geeky, but when we're talking about like actually Florida Caña, they do something kind of special. They wrap their barrels to cut the angel's share loss. Yes. So they wrap them in plantain leaves or banana leaves to kind of help seal in the oxygen transfer, so they don't lose as much, because it is hot and humid, and the swings in temperature tend to be far less in at the base of the San Cristobal volcano. So it's hot and humid, great growing area, but when you're aging rums, you could lose a lot of it in that process.
And I think that's another tipping point or another feather in the hat for Nicaragua, because the land is so rich with that volcanic soil. You have this beautiful, again, the sugarcane is growing there. The tobacco is beautiful. It's rich. And you can the complexity of both of these together. Mm.
Well, I think that, do that again.
Mm.
We're recording this, right? All right, good. I'm just asking control room, because making sure we're recording that, because that's actually, I don't think I could ever spell that out, but I believe there's a bunch of M's and a P and an H somewhere in there. But the reality is that, yes, it's an amazing pairing when you start to get into what you're getting, and we'll get to that to the Hoya Red a little bit later. But the rum ends up being kind of this. It's not a cloying sweet finish. It's sweet. Its finish is beautiful. It's slightly dry, not completely. When we start to geek out about like rums, you realize that Cuban rums have their own signature. Rums from Guatemala have theirs, and Venezuelans have theirs. But Nicaraguan has like that beautiful balance between sweet and dry, right at the finish. And this one's like filled with a lot of like wood tannins on it right off the nose and the aroma. And then when you taste it, it's got that baked apple spice that just makes it so tasty, you know. And if when you realize what comes, you know, what went into it, you know, just molasses and the fermentation, and then the aging, and one of the things that Florida Caña hangs their hat on is how good they are at being environmentally sound into you know, in their practices. So they have become very, very renowned in that. So quick question, Texas market, how does rum do there?
You know what? Surprisingly, which it shocked me, rum does very well in Texas. It's a barrel spirit. It's gorgeous. It's going to be a little bit different than, let's say, the tequila market, or so to speak, but rum does very well. So if you have not picked this up, you have an opportunity. Shameless plug. Head over to Specs, pick up your Florida Cana. They have it. Trust me. They carry both expressions there. I'm a 18-year-old girl. I like this one. This is the one I'm sipping tonight. But the rum market here is gorgeous, and they love Nicaragua. Of course, they carry Drew Estate Cigars, and now they got Florida Cana. So head on over to Specs. They got you. I promise you. I promise.
How many stores?
180 and growing. Let me say this again. We have stores all the way from Beaumont, all the way to the other side of state of El Paso, up to Wichita Falls, Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, the Valley. Any place you can imagine, there's a Specs location. So it's no excuse for you not to go to Specs and pick up your rum and your Drew Estate cigar. You don't even have an excuse now.
Well, let's talk about that spec selection with Drew Estate, because I know they're really good partners with us, and
Yes.
that becomes part of, you know, what we want to make sure that people know, that they can not only get, you know, their what I call war supplies. You know, my friend Randy there knows what it's about. He's on lockdown, and we're all on sort of quasi lockdown. So you need your supplies to get you through.
Yes. So Specs is considered essential. They are open right now. They carry over 80 plus SKUs of Drew Estate cigars. Some carry more SKUs than others, but every Specs store has either a walk-in humidor or a cabinet. You will always find a Drew Estate cigar. If you do not, contact me, Drew Estate Izzy, but I promise you they have them.
Well,
Yes.
you heard her here. Drop her a line.
Let me know if your
Go
Specs don't have Drew Estate. Let me know. That's what I'm here for.
Well, I want to thank you for joining me again. You know, I love having you on. Izzy's such a great personality for Drew Estate, and she's wonderful at what she does, and she is a member of the Barrel and Thief, Stave and Thief. Yeah,
Executive Steward, baby. Yes. Worked hard for that certification.
you know, we need to come up with one of those for rum, because that's when I'll go get it. You know, so
Okay. We can take
know.
the time together, Frank.
Listen, one of my favorite things to do before I let you go is, you know, when we're lucky enough to go down to Nicaragua, be it for safari or for a company meeting or something, is not only how welcoming and friendly everybody is there, but the fact is that when you roll into, you know, the baggage check area, there's like these 2 duty-free stores that you can load up, and boy, do we load up. And you know, when people are drinking, you know, Florida Caña 12s, 18s, and 25s, like it's going out of style, you know, it's a good thing. So,
Great thing.
well, Izzy, thank you so much. I'm gonna do a little toast to you. I know you're gonna stick around for a little bit, right?
I'm sticking around. I got 2. I'm triple fisted. I got a cigar. I got rum. I got daiquiri. Yes, I'm staying.
Oh, nobody's gonna leave with that. So, cheers, Izzy. Thank you so much for jumping on to Sticks and Sips, Sips and Sticks. I really don't care anymore. Um, thank you, Joey. I'm glad you laughed at that one. That's an inside thing. So with that, I have the honor and the incredible privilege of welcoming the president of Joya de Nicaragua. This is the oldest Nicaraguan cigar company. and not only the oldest, because I did read a book somewhere, and maybe I'll talk to my next guest about it. But it's not about just being the oldest; it's about being the best. And with that, I have the privilege and honor of welcoming Juan Ignacio Martinez from Joya de Nicaragua. Juan, welcome.
Frankie, thank you for having me, brother. It's good to see
Uh,
you, at least at a distance, but seeing you well, my friend.
Listen, for you guys that have had the pleasure of meeting Juan, he's an incredible person. Uh, he, there's a lot to be said about Joya. So I'm not going to speak anymore about Joya. I'm going to let you speak about Joya. But I did read a book. I did read a book about 50 years of Joya, and it was a wonderful thing. So tell us about the book. Let's start there.
Well, first of all, it's exciting to be here with Isola, with Joey, with Randy. It's a pleasure, my friend. Well, yeah, Joya Nicaragua is the oldest cigar manufacturer in Nicaragua. It was established in 1968, and when we turned 50, one of our milestone projects was to share with the world the history of Nicaragua, the history of Nicaraguan tobacco, and the history of the Nicaraguan cigar industry, all together with the history of our company. And that's the origin of the book. But it's a book that showcases history in a very special way. We tried to do it very visual, very oriented towards the richness of color and life um, of Nicaragua as a country, as a culture, as an identity, but also through the life of the people who have built this industry. So I think we were able to capture in this book a marvelous way of telling the history of our country and of our industry, because we tell it through the lives of the people, from the first person who planted tobacco for cigars in Nicaragua, to the founders of Joya Nicaragua, to our workers, our legacy workers that have been working in the company for more than 50 years now. So in a way, it's a book that it's called Cinco Décadas, The Rise of the Nicaraguan Cigar, that showcases the triumphs and tribulations of history around our industry, and how cigars have overcome many challenges, many historical challenges, and have our industry and the people that have built this industry have been so resilient, so strong, that now Nicaraguan cigars have become the the most renowned and the highest recognized cigars in the world. Nicaragua is now the top producing country of premium cigars in the world, and this is the result precisely of a lot of effort, of a lot of courage and resiliency of thousands of people who have dedicated their life to growing tobacco and now making this beautiful art form that we enjoy, that we call cigars.
Now, thank you so much for that. I'm going to do a shameless plug. So if you don't get your hands on this book, you can go on the Joya Nicaragua website, and I believe you can request an ebook, and
Yes.
you'll have access to it, and you could read it. It's 200 pages of amazing pictures and history. Even though I'm fortunate enough to have gone to the factory with you many times, but just to hear, to reread the history that you so eloquently put down, is definitely always interesting. It's always something else we pick up, and I think above all, we pick up the struggle. The struggle in
Yeah.
Nicaragua in its history has always had, and how Joya has been at the center of that renaissance of Nicaraguan tobacco in the world.
And that's the point, and we wanted to share the book for free read under the current circumstances, because we wanted to share with the world that Nicaragua as a culture is resilient, and that all that we've learned through the challenges that we faced over decades of struggle have taught us to be better people, to be stronger, to be more resilient, that we know that we will overcome the challenges, and that in a way we want the world to understand and to share that after this we're going to be stronger as people, we're going to be stronger as communities, we're going to be stronger and better as humanity. And the reason why Nicaragua has become so popular to the world nowadays, not only for cigars, but for many other things, and the reason why companies or people like Jonathan Drew, for example, decided to fall in love with Nicaragua is because that character, that strength that Nicaraguans have, that in the face of the worst of the adversities, to keep their face up, their head strong, and to move forward and to be optimistic about the future. And in a way, both Joya, Nicaragua, and Flor de Caña are a reflection of that character from Nicaragua. So we're very proud to represent this and capture in the book in that way. We have a special guest here, by the way. That
Yeah, I see it.
She loves me.
I'm not sending her a check. I'm just letting you know.
No, yeah, don't worry.
You get well, Juan. I will say this for those of you that have never been able to visit Nicaragua, or maybe your travel plans have been interrupted. Truly one of the most incredible places where you see and you said the word, it's resilience of the people, you know, and I call it bravery to weather anything that comes their way, you know, be it revolution, be it natural disaster, and be it now the coronavirus, you know, and we know by both Joya and Flor de Caña that even in those, with those incredible obstacles, you still see growth, and you still see people wanting to connect with the brand. And I think that that's one of the most incredible things. But the one thing that's missing, though, is the people, because that's the one thing that when you go to Nicaragua, and I'll start with you and your family, at how you treat us like your family. And you are so kind, and everyone at the factory, everyone's so kind, so giving. And that's the one thing that sticks with you beyond how well we make cigars, or people make rum. That's the one piece that makes Nicaragua special.
Thank you, brother. Indeed, you know, this, especially the cigar industry, is a humane industry. One of the main values, and in fact, one of the driving forces for both Drew Estate and Joya in Nicaragua, led by Jonathan Drew, my father, and the rest of the leadership team, has been precisely that: the persons, the people, in the center of everything. Not only our people, but also the consumers, the people that work with us, that dedicate their livelihood to to working with us and making cigars day in and day out, is sacrificing even their well-being at this moment as we speak, while the rest of us are staying home with our families and with our kids. Our people are still working, taking all the measures in their factories, in the factory, and taking all the precautions, but they're still doing it, man. They're still doing it to make sure that we continue enjoying cigars. So it's a tribute. All of the success of the Nicaraguan cigar industry, of Joya de Nicaragua, and all of us, it's a tribute to the people. And I think that's very important for cigar lovers to know and appreciate, that ultimately it's about the people who make this beautiful product. And you know, Jonathan, one of the things that I appreciate most about Drew Estate, and Jonathan in particular, is that he's always put the people in the center, the people first. When you go to the Gran Fabrica, when you go to Joya de Nicaragua, the essence, the humanity that you feel there is fundamental. So, and that in a way translates to the product that you enjoy, hopefully, and you appreciate that.
Well, that's there's a real beautiful page. I think that it's a real great graphic at the end, towards the last half of the book, and it says like over 300 hands are responsible for your cigar. You know, over 300 pairs of hands are part of what makes that cigar special. You know, and when you think about the amount of human work that it takes to produce a cigar, it's truly amazing. So I'm gonna take a small break here just to go ahead and say, hey, make sure that you ask your questions. Get your Pappy Van Winkle ashtray. You can ask a question to me, to Izzy, to Randy, to Joey, to Juan, and hopefully we'll pick your 5 questions out. You know, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions, and here comes where I start to deviate. You know, in the questions. So Juan, You are a Jesuit educated man.
That's the first time a question started with that statement, man.
So
I'm curious to see what it comes after that.
well, I've got two sons that are Jesuit educated. So that's kind of where and I came across that information somewhere. I'm like, so what does that mean? Because we always talk about like education, and where I wanted to really go to was like, cigars is not, wasn't really your heritage. You are. Tell everybody what you really studied.
Yeah, I wasn't, and I think this is like the fifth time I tell this story in this week. But I wasn't born under the shade of a tobacco plant like many of our colleagues, and that's something that we have in common with Drew Estate, at least as a family. Although we work for the oldest cigar factory in Nicaragua, my family got in the business. My father specifically, Dr. Cuenca, got in the business in 1994. He got into the business and out of a combination of destiny and a lot of love and passion for the product. I'm an economist of training, so before getting into the cigar world, I was sitting down in a desk in a very boring consulting job, thinking that I was going to change and transform the world in some magical way, which didn't happen until I got involved in this, and now I have the opportunity to enjoy the company of friends from around the world and enjoy sharing our history, our heritage, our culture from Nicaragua to the world through cigars. So indeed, man, it's been quite a ride, and I'm very thankful and appreciative of everybody, and especially Drew Estate, man. And when I see Joey, and he probably doesn't know this, I respect that man as much as one of the persons who I first encountered in the industry was him. And he doesn't know that I learned so much out of sitting beside him, trying to design a band for a new product beside him for about 2 or 3 days a while ago. So it's been quite a ride, and I'm very thankful for all the people that I've met and enjoyed the company of. And to be fair, for a Nicaraguan like me, to be able to share his own experience and his livelihood and the work that we do with people from all over the world, from the United States, from Canada, Mexico, Australia, Asia. It's quite a blessing. It's quite a blessing. And so we're very fortunate to be doing what we do, and especially talking about our country, our history, because there's a lot to be known about Nicaragua and the Nicaraguan people and Nicaraguan character.
Well, that's a great story, and I started that the Jesuit educated man because I know that Jesuits will beat the crap out of you until you learn something.
They do, or they want to convince you to become a priest, which they didn't succeed at, but they try to convince you.
Well, it's one of the two. You either you get so in depth into what you specialize and learn, or you become a priest, and then you have to do that like 2 times over. So I will say that those are always good foundations, and I will tell you because I taught economics for 20 years. So
there you go.
As a guy that that, hey, here's the curve, and this is how you understand. This is yes, you're in a much.
I didn't know that. I didn't know about you. I didn't know that about you, man. So there you go. We have a lot in common.
We're sharing. So I would say that every time that I've been in Nicaragua and had the pleasure of hanging out with Dr. Cuenca, your dad. In fact, one of my favorite stories is hanging out with your dad, and I think you came in at the tail end of that conversation, and I distinctly remember the look on your face. Me and Joey were having a conversation with Dr. Cuenca, and saying, "I believe you should plant agave."
Yeah. I remember that conversation clearly.
And we were talking about macroeconomics. That was amazing.
We're talking about the macroeconomic world, and he's just a wealth of knowledge when it comes to certain things. And
to be fair, nowadays I think a lot about what you said that time, and I always think about what happens if we do plant agave or if we find agave varietal here in Nicaragua, and that I still have it in my mind.
Listen, some people
you don't have to twist our arms.
Yeah. Hey, I'm all in. I'm all in.
Let if you allow me, Frankie, let me respond to a
Yes.
question that someone posted on Facebook. I don't remember the name. I apologize. And my daughter took the phone from me, so I don't have the name. But they were asking if we plant sugar on the same fields that we plant tobacco. And that's quite an interesting question, because no, we don't generally, because geographically the areas that you need for sugarcane plantation are much larger. You need more plains, and the height and the humidity conditions that you need for planting cane are different than from planting tobacco. So in Nicaragua, we plant tobacco in northern Nicaragua. Esteli, for example, the valley of Esteli is about 800 meters above sea level. Then we plant tobacco in Condega and in Jalapa, which is about 400 meters above sea level, while sugarcane is planted more towards the South Pacific, where the land is lower and the humidity is more intense. To be honest, I'm not an expert on sugar, but I should ask someone experts why we should be planting sugar closer to the coast, and especially in the hotter climate. So in the case of Flor de Caña, you have the sugarcane plantations happening in the west part of the country, which is León and Chinandega. That's where all their growing. So it's the land itself is very similar because it's of a volcanic origin. But in the case of tobacco, we need a little bit of a cooler climate, and we need richer land in a way. I have to say that one of my father's first experiments, actually, back in the 1990s, when he got into the business, was to grow tobacco in lands where they were growing sugarcane. Unfortunately, it didn't go well, so they stopped doing that, and they kept to the places where they were doing it.
Well, that's fascinating, because I know that's something that when you get into these Cinco Décadas book, you really kind of dig in and talk about like the birth of tobacco, and right now you mentioned 3 out of the 4 major growing areas, Ometepe being the 4th one, right?
Yeah.
Where you grow tobacco, and it's not just growing tobacco, it's growing tobacco of a quality that can be used. And I think that's something that people need to understand. You can grow tobacco in all sorts of places, but it's a tobacco that can flourish and be used for premium cigars is a very different animal than other varietals that you can grow in different climates. So now I'm going to ask you a question. So I want your perspective, because I got the book perspective. You guys, you meet Jonathan Drew, and John's not on the broadcast tonight, to get his piece. But so don't worry about anything you say. It's staying right here, super secret. No one's watching. All right. So give me your story, right? Not the Hoya story, man. The Juan Ignacio Martinez story of JD and the collaboration between Hoya and Drew Estate.
Well, that's actually one of the most eye-opening experiences in my personal life, and I know of my father's personal life. So a little bit of background, how my father and Jonathan meet. So this is around 2005, 2006, and there's a big legal debate in the US about new taxes going around for cigars and tobacco products and all that. So my father starts pushing with other industry leaders at that time. This is 2006, so most of the big producers that you know today are not as big as they are today. They start creating this national Nicaraguan Cigar Guilders Association, that they call it. And one of the founding members is, of course, Hoya Nicaragua, together with Plasencia, the old school traditional companies, and Drew Estate. And Jonathan Drew comes into the picture. And one time I remember very clearly my father talking about this gringo loco, this crazy gringo, this crazy American, coming into these meetings of very traditional, formal, old school tobacco people in the Esteli. And this gringo loco with shorts and flip-flops and this orange glasses and yellow glasses and a visor. And he would speak very loudly, very fast. And nobody knew back then of what Jonathan was up to. Of course, he was already in the process of transforming the game for the cigar industry in the United States. But back then, in the early years, La Gran Fabrica was in the process of being developed. Uh, Nobody knew much about what was happening. So one time, my father used to have his distribution for Joya Nicaragua under another company. And one time he invites us, my brother and myself and Jonathan, to his office, and he introduced us to Jonathan. And this gringo, this American guy with his crazy glasses, sitting in front of my father, and we're talking. He's talking really, really fast. At that time, now he's grown, he's mature. Now he's more. Now back then, and he was bombarding with all of these crazy ideas about the cigars that turned out to be extremely on point. Um, and eventually, my father asked him about what happens if we join forces and you represent us, the most traditional, the oldest brand in Nicaragua, with this, this guy and this company that represents all that is new, that is different, that is, adventurous for the cigar industry. And Jonathan, basically jumped out of his seat, and after a while, they said yes, and we started the process of negotiating a distribution agreement that for many people at the beginning, um, it wasn't going to last a lot. It wasn't going to last long because there were two opposites, too much opposition happening in those two personas, in those two personalities of the Drew Estate in Joya, Nicaragua. However, we are in 2020, we're 13 years after we began, and I am every day convinced more and more that we are sort of like the yin and yang of the relationship, such that as in any good marriage, you need balance. We are our yin and yang to each other. We are the yang for Drew Estate, and Drew Estate is our yin. And it's been quite an adventure. And to be completely honest, not because I'm talking in front of the Drew Estate platform, but we are a much better company. We are a much better brand, and we are a much better people thanks to having worked with Drew Estate for this long. We've learned so much, and hopefully we've transmits a little bit of our own experience to Drew Estate. But as again, I was mentioning before, my personal experience with Joey, but with everybody in the company, it's been quite an adventure and marvelous experience to share. Uh, but in the end, I think, and this ties down with pairing, I think, the concept of pairing, of bringing two products and two identities and two backgrounds to one similar experience. I think the best pairing of businesses that we can have is Drew Estate with Joya Nicaragua, where we are complementing the opposites and taking the best out of the two parts from each other and making it work beautifully. And I think that's the best pairing that we can have.
And with that, I'm just gonna leave, because what better pairing is there than Joya and Drew? And I'm just leaving, so I'm just gonna walk.
No, I'm taking over, so I'm gonna talk about. No, but let's do Flor de Caña a little bit of
actually. So let me do this, right? Don't take over my show, Juan. You have a lot of responsibilities as it is. But yes, pour yourself some. I've got a little bit left. Let's show the graphic for Joya Red, and I want you to help me talk about Joya Red, because I think that Joya Red is a great compliment. So everyone's watching what a Joya Red is. So Nicaraguan Habano Criollo, Claro wrapper. And we're talking Nicaraguan binder, Nicaraguan filler. It's a medium-bodied cigar. And as Isola said, you have that little peppery bite on it that just embodies everything. I think if you wanted to say, for somebody who was new to Nicaraguan cigars and they wanted to come in, I said, try Joya Red, because that's really just a great way to step in to understand the basis of Nicaraguan tobacco. And I think it makes a great pairing with Flor 12. So, I mean, walk me through a Joya Red, man.
So that you actually put it beautifully, man. This cigar was designed to be the first cigar to be enjoyed by someone who could be, enjoying Nicaraguan cigars for the first time, or an expert. So just a little bit of background. This is one of the first projects that we developed when I came into the company. It's actually the third project that we developed in the company. And with the Hoya family, we created a concept that was, how do we young smokers, contemporary smokers, will be navigating this this ecosystem of cigars, which is very complex, is very crowded. There is a lot of information and it's quite intimidating. So how do we make it friendly for cigar smokers to start, to begin their journey as a cigar enjoyer? And of course, we had to start with Nicaraguan tobacco. So Hoya Red is the first representation, and we called it Red, although, of course, for the color, but the original concept was to rediscover Hoya and was trying to reinvent the concept of Nicaraguan cigar that until that time, particularly Hoya in Nicaragua, was considered to be full-bodied, strong, robust, and was intimidating for a lot of smokers that they weren't not enjoying full-bodied smokes. Eight out of 10 cigar smokers are not full-bodied cigar smokers. They're more to mild and medium. But our brand at that time had the recognition of being full-bodied, strong. Actually, Joey came out with one of the best ads in the world, which was strong as balls. So Antaño was considered strong as balls, and a lot of people equated Hoya Nicaragua to that, to the strength. So with Hoya Red, we wanted to do the opposite. We wanted to contrast and say, okay, we want to also invite people that enjoy medium-bodied cigars, but we're going to be using Nicaraguan tobacco. So how do we do that? So we went out and we chose the best midpoint tobaccos that we could find from Esteli and from Jalapa, which basically means that we are using medium primings, medium to low primings, which are the tobaccos that tend to be a little bit thinner, a little bit more delicate, more aromatic, with flavor, but with not a lot of the strength that you usually have in Nicaraguan tobacco. So for example, specifically in Hoya Red, we are not using any of the traditional ligero that we would usually use in a traditional cigar. Cigars are generally made out of 5 components: the wrapper, the binder, and the fillers. And in the filler, you have the seco, the viso, and the ligero. The ligero being that tobacco that adds the punch, the power, the intensity. So when you smoke a Hoya Nicaragua Antaño 1970, you have a lot of strong ligero. A Dark Orojo has a double leaf of ligero, which means that's doubly strong. But in this case, as we wanted it to be that entry-level cigar, we decided that we didn't want to use any ligero, but we did want to have a lot of flavor on it. So we used extra leaves of viso. So we replace our ligero with a viso, that's the one that gives you a little bit of that intensity and that pepperiness, but not too much strength. So this is sort of an unusual Nicaraguan cigar, Nicaraguan puro, in the sense that it's not the overblown strength level. And it was precisely designed to be that first step in the journey of the contemporary cigar smoker. We thought out of Hoya as a family of products. So with Hoya Red, you begin your journey. Then you move up a little bit with Hoya Black, and then you begin with Hoya Silver, and then with Hoya Cabineta. So you have a diversity of experiences that is very open and attractive for those guys and those girls that come in and are overwhelmed with so much offerings, and most of the time we're not understanding what those products are, how complex they are, how strong they are, how flavorful they are. And that's the intention with Hoya Red. It's sort of like bringing down to earth the complexity and strength of Nicaraguan tobacco to itself. I am very happy because I'm actually smoking a 5-year-old Hoya Red that I took out from my personal humidor because I wanted to pair the aging, and I think that it actually fulfills to the point that objective of being very accessible, not only in terms of price, because it's quite accessible in terms of price, but also in terms of smoking experience. Flavorful, yet not strong.
I couldn't have put it any better. In fact, I don't think I could have put it anywhere near where you put it. So, but I want to thank you for that. I got to get this show moving along, Juan. So I want to thank you. I want to thank you for sharing the stories and the knowledge and stories of El Gringo Loco. That's amazing. And that's actually in
Thank
the
you,
books.
Frankie.
So make
Yeah,
sure you
it
tune
is.
in. So don't go anywhere because you're going to stay in the Zoom lounge here.
I'm here, man.
Guys, I'm going back into the Zoom lounge. Check in on everybody. Make sure they're awake. Izzy, you awake? What's going on there?
Still sipping on my 18.
Did you like listening to Juan? You
I
know,
love wine. And again, their factory in Nicaragua, if you get a chance to go, you have to go to Hoya's factory. I think my most proudest moment is when I got to blend my own Hoya de Nicaraguan cigar, and they're aging right now. I've already smoked one and I have a few more left. So I'm just letting them age, and it's a gorgeous factory. So much history. You have no idea. It's beautiful.
and the greatest thing is being whether you're a Drew Estate employee or whether you're
Yep.
a visitor coming in, they treat you like family.
Juan and
And
his family, they make you feel so special. They do.
shout out to Mario out there at Hoya. He's incredible. So Randy, you still awake, bro?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. I'm out on the West Coast. It's still early for me.
Well, it's still early, so I mean, did you start drinking yet? Is that a thing?
Well, I am a beer professional in the beer industry, so starting to drink a little bit early in the day is pretty standard for me.
So tell us a little bit about 21st Amendment.
Sure. So I am the national brand manager for 21st Amendment. We are a brewery that started in San Francisco, California. We have quite a breadth of beers in our portfolio, ranging from our flagship, the Heller High Watermelon Wheat Beer, through obviously several IPAs, as that's the hot style of beer that you find right now in America, and still surging. And we never know when it's going to stop. But yeah, so I oversee marketing over there, and got an opportunity to work with Cigar Dojo, and so we do a show over on Cigar Dojo that we do a lot of what you guys are talking about here. You know, with the pairing. I've spent my entire adult life and career in the beer industry, and I'm a barbecue judge. I roast coffee and make beef jerky, and so I kind of self-titled myself at some point in time as a sensory evaluation specialist. So when I found cigars,
I'm stealing that.
You should,
Stealing
man.
that.
You
I'm
should.
stealing that.
It's a great thing. You know, it's one of those things that as I've branched out into other areas of artisanal, handcrafted, flavor forward products. You know, I've had a lot of friends tell me, you know, are you ever gonna just pick a hobby and stick with it? And I like to often tell them I do only have one hobby, and it's flavor. And I try and find every expression of that I possibly can. And so I found an opportunity that is absolutely thrilling to me. Is I got into cigar smoking, became a huge fan, was just a kind of a regular kick around guy. I'm thrilled to be in this room. You know, I'm fans of everybody that's here and what you guys do. And so to get the opportunity to come out and talk about pairings in general, you know, we talk about the intensity of the two components of pairing and how those need to match up in order to be able to really appreciate the different expressions of flavor that you're getting, whether you're pairing a beer with your dinner, a cigar with your wine, with your rum. It all kind of stems from the same principles and foundation of you're looking for a similar intensity, and then you go to that flavor hook where you're looking for, you know, to Izzy's point, you know, you look for that spicy character that you find in the cigar, and you find that spice in the rum. I really like how you described the rum, you know, having that sweet mouth-filling quality while still finishing, you know, as a bit dry, so it doesn't have that lingering cloyingness that you referenced earlier. Those are the principles that, you know, I mean, it's one of those things I believe strongly that flavor is something that is very accessible for everybody. You know, you don't have to be a wealthy person to enjoy flavor and to find things that really excite your palate and drive that passion. So
Well,
again, thank you for having me.
Except if you're Joey, because he only enjoys the finer things. Anyway,
Ah.
so but Randy, you've got something going on after the show here, and we're gonna try to get you going ASAP. So tell us what you're doing after this, because it involves Hoya. So I'm super excited to hear about that.
Yeah, well, we have a show on Cigar Dojo called Flavor Odyssey. It's myself and my partner Robbie Raz, who is a longstanding cigar professional. He's been on the media side. He was the brand manager for a Nicaraguan factory out of Granada called Mombacho, and found his way back into the cigar media with Cigar Dojo. And we have the opportunity to put together a show weekly on Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern called Flavor Odyssey, where we journey through flavor the best that we can. And so we're blessed to have Drew Estate as a show sponsor, and so we thank everyone at Drew Estate for that. And and that's what it is. You know, it's an odyssey. It's a journey for us trying to find great pairings. We're about to start our second season here in a couple weeks, where you're gonna, you tune in, you check out me and Rob, and we're gonna try and find the perfect pairing. So we're gonna go through several wrapper cigars and pair them with beers, with spirits, with cocktails, with wine, with non-alcoholic beverages, trying to find what we deem as a perfect way to really appreciate the expressions from specific wrapper types, from Connecticut to Ecuadorian Sumatra. And so again, I bring the general flavor knowledge, and he's very cigar specific. So we try and find those pairings, and it's a ton of fun.
So how can everyone that's watching the show tonight get on that?
Yeah, so it's we host live Facebook shows every Friday at 9 p.m. called Flavor Odyssey. So go to Cigar Dojo's Facebook page and check out the live feed.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Randy.
Absolutely.
And my man, so the singer from from any 90s band is joining me, Joey Drew.
What's up? Good to see you, man.
I like to do, man. I know I give you a ton of shit about it, but
yeah,
I like
it's blondes have more fun, and I'm interested in really seeing what that brings for me, and we'll see.
I think Juan said dudes with hair have more fun, so I'm gonna go with that.
Definitely helps.
I need some hair.
Yeah. So I'm just chilling out in my backyard. The dogs have stopped barking. I'm in a rough neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of dogs barking when we're in Nica, but that's all right. It's part of the culture. And
it's usually the attendees at Cigar Safari, but
and of course
Mezcal Minute. What's Mezcal Minute without Joey? So
yeah.
What
So
do we
tonight's
got?
You know what? Juan was speaking to Hoya Red being like something that you can get into right off the bat. You're a new smoker, you want to try something, and you don't want to get destroyed right off the bat. And so if you're on a mezcal journey, if you want to start someplace, this is the one to start with by far. Del Maguey Vida. It's fantastic. You want to talk about flavor, Randy? Flavor. Go on a mezcal journey, and you will blow your mind. It's fantastic. And I'm smoking a Cinco de Gas, so it's good, man. Life is good.
Cinco Décadas with Vida Mezcal. We got CT
and you need
over
the little
there.
cup. And you need the little cup.
It's a copita.
You need it.
They serve it to you by ounces. So, like you have I only had 35 shots, but they were only an ounce.
At a time. Good to see everybody, man. This is great hanging out. Just it's really like we're hanging out at a bar and everybody's having their story, and you're kind of learning some new things about people, and you sit back and listen, and it's a good time. I hope people out in the audience are having a good time listening, learning some stuff. And really, to speak to Juan earlier, if you have the opportunity to go to Nicaragua, do so. It will change your life. It changed mine. It's a wonderful country full of amazing people, and the experience will change you to your core. I guarantee you that. It's amazing. And to Juan and his family have always been the most incredible hosts, and they make the most incredible cigars. And I couldn't be prouder from Drew Estate to be a representative for them in the U.S. It's an amazing, amazing partnership.
Well, I'm going to say
a while to get you down here.
Cheers to them. It took me a while to get down here. Now I can't wait. Now I can't come, and I'm like, I need to get back to Nicaragua.
Well, Randy, I'm going to say something. Like the pairing is what I consider a premise to Sticks and Sips. You know, it's kind of our centered thing. You know, the reality is that I get to hang with these very special people for an hour in this time, and wherever we're at. You know, I get to have Izzy with me. I get to have you. I get to have my man Joey. You know, we haven't seen each other in a while, and my man Juan here. You know, and we're just having a good time, and we're
and
sipping
people
a
want to
cup-
win their ashtrays.
All right, so
They're loading
Wait,
up. I can see them in the
thank you.
chat
Oh,
room,
sh-
and they're
I
they're
can't- I
blowing
can't-
up the chat.
I
room.
can't see what you see, so let's go to the Ask Frankie Drinks section. Thank you, Zoom
Hit it.
Lounge guys, and now we go
Hit
to
it.
the questions. So Zoom Lounge, get ready because you may need to help me with these questions. So with that, where's the production room? All right, Greg Phillips. Warming up whiskey, question mark. Why should I or not do it? Preferred method of doing so. I would not warm up whiskey. That's probably, you know, at some point they used to go to a spot and they'd, you know, pour your cognac and with a big glass and put it under a candle, and you know, and it's supposed to enhance the flavor. I think my boy Robin Robinson, who was on episode 2 with me, talks about a great story with that, and it really doesn't do much for you. If you have a higher proof whiskey, give it a couple of drops of water, allow the fat solubles to kind of break apart a little bit, get the aroma out. If you need to do an ice cube, do an ice cube. You know, I really do think what you want to do is you want to cut proof. That higher proof on your palate kind of impedes your ability to taste. So what you want to do is either you want to take that little tiny sip, swirl it around your mouth, blow out, get the alcohol off as quickly as possible so it doesn't remain on your tongue and numb your taste buds. And then you're able to taste it. So take smaller sips, especially on the higher proof stuff. A little bit of water helps, and one ice cube helps. But the reality is that I don't think you should warm it up. But if you like drinking it warmed up, do it. If it makes you feel good, do it, because that's what I say. So next question I've got is Dina T. Fasano. Dina, congratulations. This one's not it's not even just, she didn't hashtag Ask Frankie Drinks. She hashtag Ask Juan. So what is the most memorable thing about the Hoya factory? Juan, it's all you, man. You know, 50 plus years of history. What's the most memorable thing?
That's a great question. Thank you, Dina, for that keen observation on how to. It's tough. I'm thinking about it, but for me, the most memorable thing about going to the factory every week is saying hello to the people and spending time with some of the most experienced and talented cigar makers in the country, and of course in the world, as Nicaragua is the top cigar maker in the world. And going to this institution, this building, that itself is like going into a museum. You go there from the walls and the history that you feel around. That sense of again of experience. It's memorable. It's almost mind blowing to be there and to see the faces of the people. One of the things that we get more feedback on, that I don't get to visit a lot of other factories outside of our own, but when people visit our factory, they say that there's always people with smile on their faces. And I think the most memorable part of visiting Hoya, Nicaragua, is precisely the people. Those smiles, that enthusiasm, that energy, that vibe that they give you. I think that's the most powerful thing. Compounded in that building, that's not only an institution, but like a piece of history for Nicaragua. It's an overall a magnificent experience.
Well, congratulations, Dina, for the ashtray. I will tell you my favorite, most memorable experience at the Hoya factory, because it's when you're walking through on the tour. This is the part of the building that caught fire during the Sandinistas, and this is the part where they drop bombs on us. And when you're walking around this building going, wow, that's amazing. It's also so amazingly laid out so beautifully and so balanced. It looks like a Wes Anderson film. Thank you, Joey, on that one. So next question.
That's an awesome comment, Wes Anderson, man. That's actually quite a good comparison. I appreciate that, man. That's a great compliment.
It's very balanced, both sides of the room. All the tables are laid out in perfect, symmetry. And you kind of walk in, you go like, wow, I could shoot a Wes Anderson film here, and that's not beyond me doing. So after we plant the agave, we'll shoot a Wes Anderson style film there. All right, Bill Foley. Thank you for hashtagging Ask Frankie Drinks. Bill Foley, congratulations. Frankie, do you find a vast difference in flavors of rums from different countries? Yes, I do. Blind test at times, you might be challenged to find the differences, but I definitely think that you can pick out at least the stylistic differences. You could pick out this is a Spanish style rum. This is an English style rum. This is a French style, which we, from Martinique, because you're going to pick up some of the grassy notes in the rum. So it might be dark, but there's still some grassy notes that make it through. And you go, that has to be a French style rum. And on the English style, which is, when you take that Jamaican rum, you've got that, my boy Joey says, you got that hogo, you get that funk on the rum. So it's sweet. It could be dry, and it's got this beautiful funk on it. And as it's aged, it develops into a nice, beautiful palate. So you can actually start to pick out, if not the country of origin, at least the style. And that's a great place to start. And then you can get deep, and then you can go like, I know we don't get Cuban rum, but you can pick out a Cuban-esque style rum. You can pick out a Nicaraguan rum. You can definitely tell a Guatemalan, with a band like Zacapa, and then you could take out the Venezuelans, which are amazing as well. So yes, you can experiment, find out what you like, Bill, and most of all, enjoy. Start here though; it's a good place to start. Next up, we have Joey Casanova. Congratulations, Joey Casanova. You won your Pappy Van Winkle ashtray. And does a 12-year-old Florida Caña go nicely with a Hoya if neat or only with one large ice cube? And with that one, I'm going to let my girl Izola answer it, even though she's drinking the high-end stuff at 18. But you're having it neat. How's that flavor profile working for you?
So for me, I consider myself a little bit of purist, a little bit with Barrel Spirits. The ice cube does open up the bouquet. Frank spoke about this earlier. You can drink that with the ice cube. I have nothing against that. Again, you drink what makes you happy. If you want it neat, drink it neat. If you want some ice, put some ice in there. I always say get good ice. Okay, get quality ice if you're going to do that though.
Clear ice is amazing. Joey, I would say, hey, look, if you live in a hotter climate, make sure that, like I'll pour a big old, I'll get a highball glass and I'll put a bunch of cubes in there of clear ice so it dilutes slowly, and I'll fill that sucker up with a bunch of rum. And like, I just drinking a bunch of rum over ice. And I'm going, yeah. But as you're going through that cigar, and the cigar is growing in intensity, right? You want that cooling and dilution factor kicking in, kind of help get your palate, refreshed. You always hear me about, talking about refreshed, and here's my daiquiri. Well, the daiquiri used to be in there, but daiquiri is a great cocktail. You just got to have like several of them, but that lime and that sugar, that tartness, it makes you salivate. And as you salivate, you're cleaning your mouth. And remember, there's essential oils in the leaf that are coming in. So those are great balances. So cocktails like the Irish Gold Rush with a little bit of lemon in there is great. A highball is great. You can make a great highball with the 12. So Joey out there, thank you so much for that question, and we'll get you your ice tray out. Next up, Ken Melendez. What is the oldest tenure of an employee working for Hoya? And I'm not going to answer that, but I might know. But Juan, what is the longest employed person at Hoya?
I'm gonna start with the average tenure of an employee in Hoya. And the last time we did the survey was in 2018, and the average was close to 30 years. So that means that on average, a worker has been at the factory for 30 years. The oldest, there are quite a few actually, and I can name them. You have from Marta Gutierrez to Panchita, Maria Elena. They've been working since 1968, actually, since the factory actually opened. So that would make them almost 52 years in tenure. So I think that's quite a good record for them.
So Ken, the answer is 52 years is the oldest, longest employed person. Get on the Hoya de Nicaragua website, please. Get the book, and there's a beautiful section on the employees there, and you're gonna see some cool stuff. And in there is like, oh yeah, we remember when Somoza came down to the thing. It was like you're talking about stuff that happened 50 years ago, and they're still with the company, and that's truly amazing. So congratulations to all the winners. With that, before I go, I want you to remember that still under COVID-19, please support those businesses. Please support those liquor chains, and we have great liquor chain partners in ABC, Total, Binny's, Specs, that have your Drew Estate products, that have these beautiful spirits available to you. Support your local liquor stores and make sure that we're able to get your stuff. I mean, I know alcohol sales are like super amazing right now, and we want those cigar sales to be up too. But remember, there's people that depend on these businesses, so support them in any way that you can. Before I go, I did want to say one thing. Juan, I did miss one question, and I did want to make a comment. You are doing something special. Hoya is doing something special, not only for the Cinco Décadas book to commemorate 50 years of production, but right now you're doing a history project. And can you tell us a little bit about that before we go?
I suppose you're talking about the Amigos de Hoya de Nicaragua, right?
Yes, so I'm talking about like tell us your
Yeah.
history.
Well, yes, we want to share with the world that, especially in our industry, there are a lot of stories about strength and resilience and valor, and a lot of interesting and fun stories that showcase how adversity is overcome and how the future is quite bright. So one of the things that we're doing, we're inviting our friends, our retailers, distributors, and customers from all over the world to share their own stories about how they are keeping strong today, but most importantly, how they began and how they are facing up the challenges and how they're looking to the future. Because there's no more important thing that would help us determine where we're going to move forward towards the future than understanding our past, our history. So we're inviting our friends from all over the world to share their history and especially their challenges, how they overcame them, and how they're keeping strong today. It's a fun project, and we'll be actually releasing it very soon.
That's fantastic. And with that, I want to thank you for being part of Stick's episode, our Big 5 episode, man. So, we're here celebrating everything Nicaragua. And I personally cannot wait to go back. And with that, I want to thank you for being my guest. I want to thank Isola, Drew Estate Izzy, for representing Drew Estate so well with Specs, and more importantly for being part of Sticks and Sips, Sips and Sticks, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. Really don't. I want to thank my man Joey Drew there.
So
All
good
right,
to see you, man.
He's not going nowhere. He's gonna hang late.
Oh, yeah.
And Randy Griggs from Cigar Dojo and 21st Amendment Brewing. So Randy, thank you so much for being part of the show. I want to thank my boy. Big shout out to Rob Amato in Las Vegas for taking over the stemware duties. Because you know what, man? I don't make any cocktails in stemware. Just saying that right now. Only today. So thank you, Rob, for that. Awesome. Rob's a big Flor de Caña fan and a big Hoya fan. and we love him, and he's an awesome dude, and he's part of the family. So above all things, I want to thank the entire marketing team for bringing Sticks and Sips to life, and my boy Jack Hayer back there in the control room, along with Ron Curbello, with that big old screen of 17,000 monitors there, making this show happen. And last but not least, the man that makes all the sexy graphics, my man David Torres. And last but definitely not least, all our salespeople that are out there that are doing the virtual events, make sure you follow them. They're doing some amazing stuff right now. Our warehouse people that are getting that stuff out to the different places from Specs, Total, ABC, Binnies, they're out there, they're working hard. They're trying to, we're taking all the safety measures that we can and make sure that they're doing the same thing as our factory in the factory at Hoya, where all the factory people that are still making these amazing products that we're going to enjoy. And so what more can we say? And our leadership team for keeping us on track and keeping us disruptive, and for us being the yin to Hoya's yang. So and then that one I'm stealing from Juan. And with that, make sure that you follow us next week. Let's get that Drew Estate Cigar. And remember, we go Facebook Live only, so make sure you're on with us. Follow me at Frankie_drinks, and do all the things you need to do. I'm tired of talking already, so it's time for me to start drinking, even though my daiquiri is empty, but I have to make a fresh one. And I did a little re-pour of the Flor de Caña 12, because that stuff's like just damn good. And now I'm going to light up my Hoya as you guys, check out, because the bar's officially closed, man. I'm off duty, guys. So in lieu of any tips, I would just say support your local people, do the right thing. We're all trying to come out of this together, and we're going to be stronger. Just like the heritage of Nicaragua, we survive, and we become stronger for it. So with that, am I missing anything? If not, then, I'm out, man. I'm out. Done. I get to light up. Cheers to you guys. My guests, stick around the Zoom Lounge. Good night. Check out the bottom of the barrel teaser. Check it out. I think there's a bottom of the barrel coming out at some point. The fact that my name would be associated with bottom of the barrel is not shocking in the least bit. So with that, I'll catch you guys next week. Next week, I've got Simon Brooking from Lafroig, yo. Simon Brooking from Lafroig, and my boy Chris Gwaltney from ABC. And we'll be talking all things peated Isla single malt Scotch. Good night. Hey everyone, this is Frankie Drinks. I'm the cigar and spirits pairing specialist for Drew Estate. I'm also the ambassador of the Pappy Van Winkle Family Reserve Barrel Fermented line of cigars. It is an honor and privilege to represent Drew Estate Cigar Company. Through our rich and innovative history, we truly have created something for everyone's palate. Together, we will travel to different locations to experience cigar pairings with spirits, cocktails, beverages, and food. Along the way, we will explore a few locations, hang in a few bars, learn some history, and truly celebrate our lifestyle. Come join me as we embark on this journey of discovery. Cheers!